Black Panther is directed by and stars a whole load of black people, and many people, morons, have apparently decided that means it's time to act like it's Ghostbusters all over again. A disaster of biblical proportions, real wrath of God type stuff, fire and brimstone coming down from the skies, rivers and seas boiling, 40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes, the dead rising from the grave, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Because a lot of black people made it. Okay, so don't get me wrong, I fully believe better representation is a good thing, and it's great that Marvel did this and all the other things that would get me labelled as a dreaded SJW. But Jesus Christ, can we all just calm down with the accusations? I know I just quoted the good Ghostbusters, but I was actually talking about the fuck-awful 2016 one, where everyone flipped their shit as soon as the first trailer came out, and you were either sexist because you didn't like it, or a liberally blinded feminist if you did like it. I'd hoped we'd learned since then, but apparently not, because now you're either racist because you didn't like it, or blinded by your racial politics if you did. And honestly, both these groups are just as bad as each other. Like people just can't enjoy or hate a film anymore without someone whining at you for it, and fuck that. Here's what all these people really are. They're either people blinded by their hate or love for this film and looking for any possible excuse to scream at people about it, genuinely racist or incredibly non-racist knobs who can't accept anyone with a different viewpoint, or just very angry people in general who always need someone to be mad at for whatever flimsy bullshit their arcane minds can come up with. And they're all just as bad as each other. And, again, I think there is genuine discussion to be had regarding these things and what it means for film culture and the world in general, seeing as black people are being depicted as heroes, kings and warriors and all sorts of good stuff in a multi-million-dollar blockbuster and not a tiny indie film that comparatively few people will see. But let's all at least be civilised, please. Anyway, now that's out of the way, Black Panther is directed by Ryan Coogler and stars Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, Danai Gurira, I probably didn't say that right, Martin Freeman, Daniel Kaluuya and Andy Serkis. It's the 18th film in the MCU and the first film solely based on the character Black Panther, the King of Wakanda, a technologically advanced African nation whose king is granted superhuman strength, agility and a fucking bad-ass catsuit to become the Black Panther and defend Wakanda. And after something that apparently happened in Civil War, still haven't seen it, the old king of Wakanda is now dead and his son T'Challa is next in line to the throne, but he soon discovers he's not the only contender. Unfortunately, I already made all my Game of Thrones puns in my review of Thor Ragnarok, so I'm kind of all out here. Yeah, the plot of this film almost seems like Disney saying to everyone who thought The Force Awakens was derivative, hey, we're less original than that. Because say what you want about The Force Awakens, at least it came out nearly 40 years after the film it was taking all its shit from and was the starting point to a new trilogy to do more interesting things with. Well, that was the plan for a while anyway. Whereas Black Panther is being dropped not even 4 fucking months after Ragnarok and doesn't have to start shit. Because we're 18 films deep into the MCU at this point, and yet it has the same plot, more or less, dooming me to run out of Game of Thrones jokes. Thanks, Disney. On top of that, the plot seems to really meander for the first half, and I'm not sure why it plays out the way it does for that time. I don't know, you'd think that Killmonger would probably be rocking up to take the throne as soon as he heard the old king died, but nope, he's fine making a bit of money on the side, illegally trafficking Vibranium, apparently. T'Challa's also... I also found him boring as piss. He's characterised, quote, by his sense of honour and duty and all that bollocks, and not much else, really. Everyone else is fine, even the villain, surprisingly, because, weirdly, Black Panther does vastly improve on some of the biggest problems people tend to have with Marvel films, the villain and the soundtrack, while letting the things people already liked about them, the heroes themselves, kind of fall by the wayside a bit. Like I said, T'Challa himself is pretty boring, but they have really improved on the villain. He's not exactly relatable, but you can at the very least see where he's coming from and possibly even agree with what he's doing, which is already a vast improvement over most villains in the MCU. As for the soundtrack, it's not... I wouldn't exactly call it memorable. I don't really specifically remember any of the songs like completely, but then again, I've only seen it once. But it was certainly a nice change of pace, as most of it is actually played with, or at least replicates the style of African instruments, which I didn't expect. And unfortunately, weirdly, for a film with this absurdly high of a budget, it it looks strangely fake. Like when you can tell that most things are CGI'd, even if it's good CGI, it just looks weirdly fake. And other than that, the action scenes are great. The film as a whole is quite nicely directed, and the acting's decent. Even if I could feel embarrassment radiating through the cinema when no one laughed at the cringy jokes, but overall, I just didn't find the film particularly interesting. Bear in mind, I've only seen 4 MCU films. I've seen Doctor Strange, which I barely remember at all, but I seem to remember liking it. Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Homecoming, and this. This review is incredibly late because now Infinity War's out, so that's fun. So I'm probably going to have to, I guess, watch the first 2 Avengers films and possibly Civil War before I go see that. Trying to think of any more that might link into Infinity War. I'm guessing the first phase 1 of the MCU is just like the origin stories of the heroes. So whatever, I know what they're like. Well, I don't know, you tell me. Will I be fine watching Infinity War with just like the first 2 Avengers films and Civil War and what I've seen of the MCU so far? I don't know. I will be reviewing that at some point. Yeah. And I've liked the other Marvel films I've seen. But this one just, I don't know, I just didn't find it particularly interesting. Not that stopped it from making enough money to fill the Iron Bank of Bravos. Hey, I'm not out of Game of Thrones puns yet. But, I'm still glad this film exists. I think it is a good thing for black people and Hollywood in general. But, yeah, just wasn't all that interesting in the long run. So I'm going to give Black Panther a 5 out of 10. Please don't call me racist. I swear to God I've heard enough of all those people. So guys, have you seen Black Panther? You probably have, so what did you think of it? Or should people really be crediting Blade for letting a black man lead a superhero film? Because I've seen people arguing over that as well, which makes a bit more sense to me, but there you go. Whatever it is, let me know. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.